everyone, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. I hope you've all been doing extremely well. It's been a little bit since I've posted a video. I just did a different video that I just recorded. I don't know when I'll get these videos posted. It may not be until tomorrow or the day after. But that video was kind of styled a little bit differently. Just as a general introduction to what I do on this channel, as far as, and also in trying to kind of bring some other people to the channel as well who may not be familiar with all of this kind of stuff, but are trying to find a path for themselves, or are just trying to find a deeper meaning into life in general. I went ahead and made that video for those kinds of people, hoping that the YouTube algorithm might bring them to this channel. So, yeah, life has just been pretty busy. I'm pretty occupied most of the time, just around the house, and we have 3 kids, and I have one biological son, and he's almost 2, and he requires a lot of attention. He likes to make a lot of messes, but that dude is my best buddy, and I love hanging out with him. So that's part of the reason I haven't been on here as much, making videos. I just haven't had the time to set aside the space, and it requires some level of quiet, for me to sit down and be able to record a video. So I try to find moments and opportunities when those times are available that I can do videos. So I just try to do them whenever I can. For those of you who are a part of the Patreon, or you are looking to be a part of the next tier on the Patreon, which will be the $10 tier, the first chapter for that tier should be ready in another 2 weeks, I'm hoping. It's been a really difficult chapter to write. It's a bit longer than the other chapters in the book, and it takes a lot more research, especially when it comes to the research regarding Hiram Abiff in the Master Mason degree, because that's the theme of the chapter. A lot of the themes and symbolisms that go into the Master Mason degree. So I had to compile a lot of stuff on Hiram and a lot of stuff on King Solomon and the ruffians that are involved in the 3rd degree. If you don't know the ruffians and what I'm talking about, that's something that I would cover on a different video. If you ever wanted me to go into the Master Mason degree a little bit more, the symbolism of that. But that chapter should be available pretty soon. I've been working pretty hard on that chapter, so I'm pretty proud of it. And today I'm actually going out to my grandma's house. She lives in Lima, Ohio. So it's a couple hours away from where I currently live. And it's been a while since I've really just gone out and, really gone out and traveled and seen relatives far away. And I'm also going to see a buddy tomorrow. He lives in that general area as well, and he's come and visited me a bunch of times in the past year, so I'm going to go and pay him a visit, and it's going to be a really enjoyable time. I think we're just going to chill, and we're going to do some meditation, and we're going to catch up, and we're going to do some emotional healing, some emotional processing, just taking a day to just kind of do nothing, just sit and bask in the quiet, maybe have some deep discussions. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really excited about tonight. I have an event I'm going to tonight, and then tomorrow I get to spend the day with him as well, and see my grandma too, which I don't ever get out to go and see her very often at all, except for around Christmas time. So yeah, this is all really exciting. The weather started to kind of become nice again, although it did start to get snowy. So we still are in winter, guys. So winter's almost over though, and then spring will come, and then summer will come, as it always does. It's the resurrection of the Redeemer. It's the solar energy making its way back around. So it's been a pretty harsh winter. I think I've just been swapping germs back and forth with a lot of little kiddos, because we've had to babysit some kids at our house, and it just kept seeming like I would get sick, and because our house isn't really that big. So when you get a lot of people in it, or you get a lot of kids, it's really easy, I think, just for germs to be spread around. And yeah, anytime you have more than 8, it's a crowded house even with 8 people in the house. So if you have more people than that, kids included, it's a lot to handle. So that's kind of just what's been going on with me lately, guys. Just wanted to kind of give you a little update on what's going on, so you know where I'm at. And I have been able to work on my spiritual practices here and there. I don't do meditation as much as I used to back in my heyday. The times where I was really doing energetic works, you know, which were not only affecting me on a huge level, but also the masses, or the mass collective, or the collective consciousness on the planet. Those kind of works I was doing heavily back before COVID came. Around, I would say between 2016 and 2019 is like the heaviest, when I was doing the heaviest ritual work, and really kind of getting into the deepest levels of my subconscious mind, working with lots of archetypal forces at that time. So yeah, I've been, I wasn't the only one who was doing occult operations, I guess you could say, around that same time before COVID hit. There's a lot of magicians. I know Frater Xavier over in Mind and Magic YouTube channel, he was doing a lot of energy workings at that time too. Other occultists as well have been adding to the effect of the catalytic change which has come to humanity. And we're seeing that a lot more. You know, humanity is evolving in a certain direction. And there have been a lot of energetic influences for people to let go of certain things, and for people to move forward in a way that's actually, you know, helping them work towards their evolutionary purpose. So yeah, it's been a time of learning. There's been a lot of massive energy shifts in the past year. We had a close friend pass away. It's been just a day or two over a year ago. So a year and a couple days since that happened. That's back when all those solar eclipses were happening. Lots of transformative energies happening right now. So it's a good time to be on top of your practices, on top of your studies, making sure you're integrating and working with these energies. I was able to do some more work with Lilith, which brought up some interesting emotions, but was much needed. I could even feel it when because I worked with her sigil and just did some very basic meditation. I just try to tap into the archetypal force that she represents. I don't call on her to ask for favors, or to do much of anything other than to embrace the energy and learn from it. And I learned a lot more about primordial chaos and just chaotic energy in general, the divine feminine, how it's more of being, it's more beingness and not so much thinking. It's more about letting go and trusting the process, and understanding that chaos is not to be controlled, but it can be directed, it can be utilized, but just learning to lean into the chaotic forces, learning to embrace the unknown, and knowing that even though you can have order and structure within your microcosmic world, there's always going to be massive energetic fluxes which are based in chaotic energies. And just learning how to direct and guide those energies and use them to your best benefit. Learning about the raw power of the feminine. I had some visions which were kind of like underworldly type visions. As well as I came into this room where it was just very much like menstrual blood type energy. And it wasn't like a gross type of thing either. It was just, I realized the power that exists within that primal blood, the menstrual blood and all of those things, which is many different cultures use that. They understood the power of the blood, especially the menstrual fluids and all of those things, and how they can be utilized, and just the raw power of it. Not being afraid of those things. We live in a world where everything is very much sterile. they've removed like the primal power. So those who work with energies like that, the Lilith and other archetypal feminine forces, are able to tap into and channel that raw feminine energy, which is very important. And just an overall sense of sitting with that type of energy. And when I went to bed that night, I could really feel the energy in my nervous system. It was like, dang, it was almost like taking a certain medicine or taking a substance that would have an effect upon your body, but I could feel it simply from sitting with the sigil for about an hour. All I did was sit with some darker tones and just sat with the sigil and allowed what was to come through, and I learned a lot from that experience alone. Just a simple meditation like that can have profound effects. On the flip side of things, I've also been working heavily with the energy of Raphael, and I've actually been reading a book which it synchronistically just lined up that it was talking about Raphael as I'm working with this angel, a lot lately. So it's nice to be able to pick up on those synchronistic type things, those synchronicities, and see how the universe is really reflecting back. Like, okay, here's some knowledge, here's some further knowledge about the topics of interest that are, what you're researching at the time, or the energies that you're working with. I've been working with Raphael for a lot of physical healing on that part. So anyway, I just wanted to get all of that stuff out, and I think what I'm going to talk about in this video is a little bit about my Masonic journey, because I've been working a lot with studying Freemasonry even further than I normally do for my book that I'm writing, and just in general I've been doing other research as well, especially in regards to Raphael. There's been a lot of that coming up lately, and we'll talk about the connection with some of the angels and how they fit in with the Masonic journey. So if you want to check out my book, Freemasonry and Ceremonial Magic, I have the audiobook on my Patreon. It's only $5 to join. You can only join, you can join for just a month if you want to. You can join for 2 months and support me a little bit more, even after you've read the book. That's totally up to you. Anything is appreciated. And shout out to all my patrons. I love each and every one of you, and thank you so much for supporting me. I hope all of you are doing extremely well. I have not heard from some of you, so I've been thinking about you. So if you watch this video, hit me back up. Let me know how you've been doing. Hope everything's been going well. But without further ado, I talk about my Masonic journey in my book as well, but I wanted to do a video where I talk about specifically the officer progression in Lodge. So when I joined Freemasonry, it was 2014 when I joined, and I think I joined in May. I want to say that sounds right. And then it was really early the next year, or it was later that same year. I don't think it was 2015. I think I got all 3 degrees in 2014. I'm pretty sure. So I became a Master Mason, and then I joined, I became Junior Deacon of the Lodge. And this was a busy time of my life, and it only got busier and busier as I progressed through this officer line. I'm also a musician. I was playing in a lot of different bands, so I was gigging a lot, traveling throughout the state and somewhat out of state too, like traveling a lot in Indiana. I would say around between 2017 and 2019, I was doing a lot of driving back and forth between Ohio and Indiana. And I had my normal muggle job at Kroger, so working, varying hours. Sometimes I would work 40 hours, like full time, and then other times I'd only be working like 20 hours. But always working, always just putting money in, or, putting work in, so there's always money flow. But also not giving in to the slaving away of that just 40 hours every week, like that 9 to 5, just it's very difficult for me to do that, because to me that's selling your soul. If you just do a 9 to 5, 40 hours every single week, that doesn't even give you an opportunity to enjoy the money that you're making. So what is the point of that? You might as well, you got to work some to put some money away. But then you also want to work on your endeavors too. What is it that brings you joy in life? And maybe even, work on making some income from that, which has been really cool, because the Patreon has enabled me to make some extra money. And sometimes when I'm down on money, you guys I might have that $5 come through, or that $8 come through in a day, and that enables me to get an extra cup of coffee or something. Small things like that, they really mean a lot to me. I don't take that lightly. And I'm a pretty conservative person. I don't go and spend my money a whole lot. I try to hold on to it, so I try to just spend most of my money on bills and food, basic things. And then every now and again I'll buy something nice for myself, as far as a book or maybe a video game that I'm into. But getting back on track. So I joined the officer line in my Masonic lodge. Some people go to become a steward. Now, a steward is the officer and they have a cornucopia on their staff. Now, we know the cornucopia can be associated with Sandalphon, the Archangel Sandalphon, which is very much associated with Malkuth on the Tree of Life. These officers what they do is they circumambulate around the lodge. And if you don't know what circumambulation is, that's what you do during the lesser ritual of the pentagram, where you go around in a circle. You're usually forming a circle around your altar is what you're moving around. The same in Freemasonry. In Freemasonry, we keep the Holy Bible, square, and compasses on the altar, and during degree work, we rotate around the altar. We move in that fashion around the sacred object, which is the Holy Bible, and that is what enables the spirit of Freemasonry comes forth through the portal, through the square and compasses into the lodge room. That's the spirit of Freemasonry. So you can think of it as like an egregore, or just a repository of energy that has been stored up over time. It's an arcana of wisdom, almost like its own Akashic record that you can tap into, and that's the energy that comes through when you're in lodge, when you open degree work, and when you're doing ritual. So the stewards, there's usually 2 stewards that operate at a time, and they each carry a staff, and they help the senior deacon in lodge circumambulate around the lodge room, going around the altar, and they basically act as an energetic, they walk in front of the candidate and the senior deacon with their staffs. So what they're doing is you could almost say, aligning the energies for the candidate to then walk through. It's like they almost act as energetic guides for the candidate. It's another way for the energies to become balanced, for the energies to become squared. But I think I've only acted as a steward once, but I've never actually been a steward as an officer in a lodge. See, most lodges you vote on your officers once a year, so people change stations a lot. And especially if you're progressing through the officer line, you would start out typically as a junior deacon. You might skip that steward position, which is what I did. And then you go junior deacon, senior deacon, junior warden, senior warden, worshipful master. And we'll get into each of these officers. There are other officers in the lodge. There's a chaplain which reads prayers, and he sits up with the worshipful master in the east. And then there's also a Tyler, spelled T-I-L-E-R. Interesting, we always joked about a Tyler because, there's a phoenix, or, well, they would say it's a bald eagle, but really it's a phoenix on the semi-truck. that is not a coincidence. That is a mighty symbol, and one of my favorite symbols that I talk about a lot on this channel. But the Tyler is the one who guards the outer door of the lodge room. So he stands outside the lodge with the sword and makes sure that no Cowans or eavesdroppers, basically people who are not initiated, come into the lodge room. He keeps them from coming in. Now, the one who guards the inner door, who stands inside the lodge but guards the same door which goes outside of the lodge, guarding the inner door is the junior deacon. The junior deacon carries a staff, and this staff has a moon on it. So the junior deacon can be seen to symbolize the feminine energy. And basically what he does is communicates with the Tyler in opening and closing the lodge meetings. And he also introduces brethren who are coming into the lodge. So a lot of the times he might have a distinguished brother or somebody from another lodge, or heck, you may even have the Grand Master visit your lodge. So the junior deacon, what he'll do is he will introduce those officers to the rest of the lodge room when they're about to come into the lodge. So that's basically the junior deacon's basic duties. He guards that inner door. And think of these as analogies of the mind, consciousness. You always want to have a guard of your inner door, your inner sanctum, guarding your thoughts, which in effect will help you channel your energy in such a way that when you take action in the world, it has more effective, your action has more effect. It will be more effective. Now, let's go ahead and, so that's the junior deacon. So I became junior deacon for a year, and then I progressed to senior deacon. So this would have been, must have been around 2016. I would have been junior deacon roughly in that time frame. Or I'm sorry, senior deacon. I would have been becoming senior deacon around 2016. Between 2015 and 2016. The senior deacon has a much more, active role in the lodge. So the senior deacon has a sun on his staff, so he embodies the divine masculine force in the lodge room. And also think about these as being symbolic of celestial bodies moving around the lodge room, they being on the staffs of the officers. All of these movements in the lodge room, they all have astrological significances and correspondences, so that's important to keep in mind. The senior deacon plays the masculine role, and he will be the one who actually introduces officers, like distinguished guests and other officers at the altar if they need that introduction. So the senior deacon does all actual introductions of officers. The junior deacon will just tell the master that they're coming into the lodge, but the senior deacon is the one who actually announces the titles and all of those things of the officers. And he also will usually acknowledge it. At most meetings, we acknowledge all the past masters of a lodge. That would be myself included. I really enjoy going to lodge these days because I'm what's considered a past master. So I've already been a worshipful master, and I'm able to just go to lodges and help with certain degree works and be more of an observer once again, rather than always playing a super active role in lodge, and I really appreciate that. Because when I was going through the officer line, I was very busy, especially when I got to my master's position in the East. So what the senior deacon also does is he's the one who actually holds on to the candidate and conducts him around the lodge room during the degree work. So, and the senior deacon is always in care of the candidate, helping with the symbolic clothing and all of those things of the degree work, and helping to bring the candidate to light. So the senior deacon plays a super important role in the lodge room. He's also symbolic of a conductor, or a guide, such as Thoth, or Hermes, or even Raphael. He can be seen as Raphael is a guide. He carries a staff. He helps to heal us. He's a healer. So the senior deacon can be seen as all of these things, and Raphael also corresponds with Tifereth, which is the solar energy, and of course the senior deacon has the sun on its staff, so this is very crucial as well. So yeah, the senior deacon plays a very important role in conducting the candidate around the lodge room during all the degree work and interacting with the different officers at their stations. In my opinion, the senior deacon's job is the hardest as far as ritual work goes in the lodge. That's just my personal opinion, though, because he moves around the most and has to do the most. The other most difficult part would be the Worshipful Master, because the Worshipful Master does have a lot of speaking parts. There's more speaking parts for the Worshipful Master, but there's more movement in the ritual for the senior deacon. So from senior deacon, you would typically go to, I forgot to mention, there's always a treasurer and a secretary in a lodge too. They don't really do much ritualistic stuff, but as far as administrative duties, their role is very important. The treasurer and secretary, you need a good treasurer and secretary to run a successful lodge. They are really the backbone of the entire lodge. But anyway, going from senior deacon, you go from senior deacon to junior warden. The junior warden is one of the 3 principal or main officers in a Masonic lodge. The junior warden sits in the south, which is symbolic of high noon. And according to which elemental system you're using, the typical Golden Dawn or Western ceremonial magic system has the south as being fire, which makes sense to a degree, because high noon energy, the south is corresponded with high noon, and that's when the sun is at its highest. So I can see using, fire for the south. I have started using water for the south, though. I've tried experimenting with using different directions for the elements. So I've talked about that in other videos as well. I could do an entire video probably on just which correspondences work for different systems and what the proper elemental directions are. I do have a few videos that I've done on that already, but I could do another new video if you guys wanted at some point. But the junior warden, he's symbolic of this high 12 noon energy. He's considered the beauty of the lodge, and on the Kabbalistic tree, he would be more equated with I'm not sure exactly which pillar he would be, because it is a little confusing. There are 3 pillars in Masonry. They say that there's the 2 pillars we're familiar with of King Solomon's Temple, those being the pillar of severity and the pillar of mercy on the Tree of Life. Which is Boaz and Jachin in Freemasonry. So Boaz being the pillar of severity or the negative charge, the feminine pillar, the masculine pillar being the pillar of mercy, the positive charge, that's Jachin or Yakin, depending on how you pronounce it. Now Freemasonry is said to be supported by 3 great pillars: wisdom, strength, and beauty. So strength would probably be associated with Boaz. Strength, wisdom, and beauty. Wisdom would be applied to the pillar of mercy because of Chokmah. Wisdom is at the top of the pillar of mercy. Chokmah being the second Sephiroth from the top. So that would leave the junior warden being symbolic of the pillar of beauty, which is the pillar of mildness, which could actually be seen, it's actually the middle pillar on the Tree of Life. So you have 3 pillars in a Masonic lodge. A lot of people don't know that. So this junior warden energy represents beauty, one of the 3 triune aspects: wisdom, strength, and beauty. each one of these being a synthesis or component of balancing out the energies in the lodge room and also activating those latent energies, those potential energies within the candidate themselves. The junior warden is symbolic of that energy. Could be symbolic of fire, or according to the system that I now use, water, and could also be associated with the Archangel Gabriel. If we look at the three principal officers of the lodge, the Worshipful Master, Senior, and Junior Warden being the three oldest archangels after Lucifer, the Worshipful Master would be Michael, the Senior Warden would be Raphael, and the Junior Warden could be considered Gabriel if we look at it that way. So the Junior Warden has different roles in opening and closing the lodge, and also calling the lodge from refreshment to labor. And he is the third principal officer, and he has a gavel at his station, and he sits in the south. Then I was junior warden. I was junior deacon for a whole year, senior deacon for a whole year, and junior warden for a whole year. And also a musician and doing all of these things, these other activities. Getting a lot of rich life experiences from playing music festivals and going out and meeting very unique individuals. So I was getting a very holistic view of spirituality. I was getting that from the musical scene that I was involved in and from lodge, really getting two different aspects of spirituality and getting initiated in different kinds of cultural ways. So I've really had some rich life experiences which have given me a lot of different perspectives. A lot of people only get one side of that education. They don't get both sides of the education. So I got more of the left brain, logical, linear, rational, almost scholarly side of information, and then I got the more intuitive, feminine type of initiation from being involved in music and, going to those types of events and meeting different people and just experiencing a lot of different life experiences and being able to do things and go places, magical places. You could almost say like mini Gardens of Eden on this earth that a lot of people never get to experience, and that is so amazing to experience all these things simultaneously. And it's just along with being a ceremonial magician myself and a lot of the practices I was doing at the time, it influenced my energetic body in such a way that I really carry to this day a very unique energy that a lot of people have never had the opportunity to tap into. And that's part of why I started this channel. I just thought there's so much I have to share with people as far as knowledge goes, and that knowledge goes to waste if I just hold on to it. Because what's the point of just holding on to knowledge if you can't utilize it in your own life, if you can't teach others as well so that they can go and build a solid foundation themselves and really build upon that and build a richer life through those experiences. We're all in this spiritual school, this spiritual temple of earth together. So all these experiences together really created a very unique I've had a very unique human experience in this lifetime. And I'm sure in past lives I have some connections to this current, this magical current or lineage of energy, which is associated with Freemasonry, is associated with Kabbalah. King Solomon, I feel a very heavy connection with him and his archetypal energies. All of these things, this lineage, wow, there's the Phoenix again. There's another semi with the Phoenix on it. Different semi this time. This might be same company though. So yeah, just all these different influences coming in. So as I went to then become the senior warden after being the junior warden in the lodge, I was only senior warden for about a month. I was not senior warden for very long. Now the senior warden, he sits in the west and he represents strength. He is the strength of the lodge. His jewel is the level. The junior Senior Warden wears the plum. The plum is about uprightness of conduct. These are all phallic symbols, though, the plum and the level. And the plum is about uprightness of conduct and, just that straight linear energy. And this also helps in, if we take our bodies into account, when we sit up straight and we can allow the Kundalini energy to move up through the body, it makes for a much healthier life. We're able to allow the energy to freely flow through our bodies rather than getting caught up and stuck. Senior Warden, his emblematical color is red. The Junior Warden's is blue. So that also fits in with some of the elemental stuff as well. And we know the West, I've talked about the symbolism of the West a lot. Even some of its more esoteric meanings in a video I did on the Anchor and Arc. I don't think that's a very highly viewed video, but I recommend going back and checking that video out if you want to learn about the West and some of its secret symbolical significances. Especially coming from somebody who's been a Freemason for a long time, the West plays a crucial role in a lot of things. It's where we first enter the lodge from the West. It's the direction of baptism. So I can see why people would associate the West with the element of water. Traditionally, it's associated with water. In the traditional Western ceremonial magic correspondences, I use air now, the West for the element of air. But the Senior Warden, he's this officer that represents strength, and he is the second principal officer of the lodge. If the Worshipful Master is not present, or something happens to the Master, the Senior Warden steps up to the plate. And he does a lot of back and forth ritual work with the Master. Him and the Master work very much in conjunction with each other. So our Master had a job change. He had to step down, and I ended up taking that Worshipful Master position quite early on. I want to say it was the beginning of 2018, because I ended up being Worshipful Master probably from sometime in the early stages of 2018 to about 2020, a few months into, I think it was November of 2020 when I finally was able to relinquish that position. So probably about mid-2018 to mid or late 2020 is roughly when I was Worshipful Master. And, correspondingly, interestingly enough, that's right when 2020 happened, when I finally relinquished the office of Worshipful Master. All these energetic things are going on the earth. Things are changing. For me, things were getting so overbearing, and there was a lot going on in my life, so much, especially with the responsibilities that comes with being a Worshipful Master, that it was almost like a relief. It was a huge relief when the 2020 pandemic hit. And I knew that something big was going to happen in 2020. I just knew it. Not only had the energetic foundation and all of those things been laid for it, but I knew it back in 2012. I'm like, no, 2012, I knew it wasn't going to be the end of the world. I knew it was an awakening of some kind, but 2020 is when I knew that things were really going to change. Those numbers, just the significance of 20 after 2020 vision, seeing more clearly, symbolically speaking. So the Master is basically the president of the lodge, like the president of a charity company. He's responsible for everything that goes on in the lodge, for making sure the lodge runs smoothly, all of the charity functions that go on. So it's a very busy job, not only from a ritualistic perspective of doing the ritual in lodge, but also making sure all the administrative things are taken care of. It was an honor to be Master, but it's a lot of pressure, to be a Master and to go through that. But now that I've been through it, I'm really proud to say that I can be, I'm known as a past Master now, or a worshipful brother. It's a very big honor, and it puts me in league with a lot of other men that are just really good guys, that have been through the same initiatory system, very much tapping into that initiatory or magical current, you could say, that Solomonic current, which is a very powerful current. So the Master presides over the meetings. He sits in the east, which is symbolic of fire or air, depending on which system you're using. He is like Archangel Michael in many regards. And when you sit up on that stage and when you have the gavel and when you do the gavel raps and the lodge, the different officers respond to your gavel raps and you are actually the one that's in charge of a meeting, it's a very empowering, you're like, wow, I'm really in charge. This is a lot of energy and a lot of responsibility that's put into my, that's being put in my hands, essentially. The energies of Source, the seething energies of Lucifer, as Manly P. Hall likes to say. A lot of people like to misunderstand what Lucifer really is. I talk, obviously, a lot about what Lucifer really more so represents on this YouTube channel. It's not just the devil, it's not just the adversary. While it does represent adversarial energies in an effort to bring catalytic change in a beneficial way to your individual lives as well as all of humanity, that is definitely an aspect of what Lucifer represents. So, but I find that the archangelic influences, it wasn't coincidence that I was working on the lesser ritual of the pentagram and the middle pillar and all of these operations as I'm master of the lodge. And as I'm progressing through the officer line and becoming master in all of these things. And like I said, if you want to learn more about these kinds of powers, these kinds of archetypal forces, I recommend you join the Patreon for $5. It's really cheap, and you get a lot of understanding about what Freemasonry really is, because there's a lot of misunderstandings when it comes to what Freemasonry is, what people think it is. They get a lot of misunderstanding, and kind of that mystery and intrigue is what pulled me into it, because I'm like, man, what is going on? What is this all about? And my Scorpio curiosity got the better of me. So, it's been an very interesting journey, very enlightening journey overall. And, I was very happy after I became master. And, we had a successful year. We did a lot of good degree work. We got a lot of good brothers in when I was worshipful master. And then I also went back and helped the lodge after my term as master was over. So from November of 2020 to today, it is now 2024. It's crazy to think that it's 2024, already. The energies are changing. The energies are shifting. And I've been helping out in lodge every so often, when I can. But my personal life has gotten, a lot busier at home and stuff. And, it's been I've been a very blessed person with a lot of rich life experiences at this point. And I just kind of wanted to share what some of, being a Freemason is like, going through that officer progression. And that's just Blue Lodge. So Blue Lodge is the first 3 degrees of Freemasonry. There's also an officer progression if you join York Rite Masonry as well, which I have not joined. I know a lot about York Rite Masonry, and I'm going to be talking a lot about York Rite Masonry on the $10 tier of the Patreon. York Rite and Scottish Rite, I'll be getting into both of those initiatic currents a lot more in the $10 Patreon. So if that's something that you're interested in, you definitely want to make sure that you join and become a part of that. Once I started, it should be ready with that Master Mason chapter 8 of Freemasonry and Ceremonial Magic. Should be ready in another 2 weeks, I'm hoping. So I should finally have some free time in the next couple weeks to go ahead and finalize that chapter, get the audiobook recorded, and then I think we'll be in good hands. So yeah, just being master of a lodge, going through this Masonic journey, it's all been a very humbling experience, and I've learned a lot as a person. It's been a very, very neat journey. I think I'm supposed to turn right. GPS is a little confusing. Let's see. Yep, I think I turned the right way. We'll hope so. Alrighty, everyone. I've gone on for about 45 minutes now, so I think I'm almost to my destination. I hope that this video brought some value to you. I hope you got something out of this video. I forgot to mention that the jewel of the Worshipful Master is the square. He wears the square as the badge of his office. And the square represents uprightness, equality, because all of its angles and sides are equal. And the square is a good, a lot of people are not big fans of the square. They say, be there or be square, or there is danger in being too square. You don't want to get caught up in the square, but rather use the square as a tool for improvement. It builds the foundation. The foundation of the temple, of King Solomon's temple, is built upon the square, and that's why there's so much emphasis put on the square in Freemasonry. And we're always told to square our actions, and you'll learn more as you learn about Freemasonry. And if you become a member of the fraternity, you will learn about energy and how to channel energies better, and how to use the square as a divine tool in not only your ritual work, but also in your state of consciousness, and how to really become a magician or a conductor of the reality around you. You can square the energies. You can bring about order and peace and perfection in your existence and in your life, and spread that beauty and perfection into the world around you. Help create a new heaven, a new Atlantis on earth, by transmuting, processing emotions, working on all these things, and bringing about, the reality that you seek. That beautiful stirring of the heart, which you've always felt, deep down within yourself, and you've always known there's more. There is more to this existence. The mystery schools are the preservation of this energy, the transferring on of this current, this consciousness. So I hope you like this video. If you are not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up and ring the notification bell if you want to be notified of new content. I try to post content as often as I can, and I try to cover a wide array of topics. Freemasonry, ceremonial magic, Golden Dawn, the Tree of Life, the Tree of the Qliphoth, all of these different things. I also do phone calls as well. So if you go to the information on my YouTube channel, you'll find my email on there. If you want to book a call with me, a 30-minute call is $50. Of an hour call, you save $25, and it's only $75 for an hour call. You can call me and we can talk about really any esoteric information that you want to, that I'm able to talk about. And if I don't know the answer, I will definitely help you get the resources that you need to find the answers. I also have not done many tarot readings in the past couple years, but I used to do a lot of tarot readings for myself and for other people as well. So if a tarot reading is something that you would be interested in, also get a hold of me through email about that as well. So that's another service that I can provide. So, all right, everyone, peace and blessings, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching the video. Peace.